How do you deal with confrontation? Are you a non-confrontational person? Are you the chill guy meme? You're like, I'm just a chill guy. I don't want to have hard conversations. Just let me hang out, have a good time. If that's the case, that may be easy up front, but long term, it'll make your life a lot more difficult. So today we're going to be talking about why boundaries are so important, even if they're uncomfortable. What are some of the consequences of lacking boundaries? Hopefully this gives you a little bit of motivation and encourages you to start setting those boundaries in your life. Check that out today on the show. Hey guys, I am Reese Maxwell from Thriving Man Life Coaching. And today we are talking about the consequences of lacking boundaries. Now, I've put this into two main categories. One, lacking boundaries is bad for you, pretty obvious, but also lacking boundaries can end up being bad for other people. So let's start with why it's bad for you. First of all, you will be exhausted if you have no boundaries in your life. Think of boundaries as not just something to keep other people out, but to give you a good idea of what is and what isn't the responsibility in your life. If you don't have boundaries, you don't know how to say no because you've never had to. Somebody asks you for something. Somebody wants a favor from you. And if you have no sense of what is and isn't your responsibility, you're just going to say yes all the time. You haven't even built up the strength to say no. Second, you won't know what to say no to. You won't know if a family member asks you for a favor. Is this the kind of favor where I just kind of suck it up and do it? Or is this the kind of favor where they're trying to take advantage of me? If you have no boundaries, you're probably just going to say yes every time. And that's going to end up being exhausting because you're never going to know. Imagine if you start an open world video game, and when you step out into the world, there's no indication about what you're supposed to do. There's no side quests. There's not even any boundaries to the map. You just wander. There was a video game, I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically No Man's Sky. When it first came out, it was bragging on how big the world was. There was like literally millions of planets and it auto-generated as you went along. However, there were never any indications of what you were really supposed to do. You could do this or that. You could just wander around. And so it was kind of like this big empty box because you could do anything, but you didn't really feel like doing anything at all either. That can be how it is when we have zero boundaries. You end up trying to do everything at once, and so you end up doing nothing well, and that is exhausting. Second, not having boundaries can build up resentment. Some of us, if you're like me, you will go past a boundary maybe because you want to help another person. You're like, man, I'm the kind of guy, I like to set aside my preferences for other people. And that makes you feel good and it's something cool that you get to do. And that's a good heart. But if you always do that and you never actually have boundaries that you communicate to the other person, you'll have a problem. Let's take the example of marriage. Let's say if your spouse is really chill and doesn't really feel like they need to do much, and you are always trying to pick up the slack in every area, you're gonna get resentful eventually. You know, if you're cooking and cleaning and doing the dishes and you're mowing the lawn and you're taking care of the bills and you're running the errands, if you're doing everything, no matter how selfless you may be, there will come a point where you'll start to get bitter against your spouse. You're going to start thinking, well, why didn't she do anything? Why didn't she pick up the slack? I shouldn't have to do all of this stuff. But the issue, especially up front, it's your problem because you've never communicated to her that you need something to change. How's she going to know if you don't tell her? You have to sit down with her and say, hey, I feel like XYZ, and I would really appreciate it if we delegated house responsibilities. That's just an example, but you will get to a point of resentment if you don't have any boundaries. And that's a problem because that can affect your relationships negatively. Third and finally, for yourself, the issue is the loss of self. You'll get so used to other people calling the shots in your life that you won't even know what you want anymore. There are some people who have lived based on the expectations and demands of others for so long that they have to go through this journey of reconnecting with themselves. And that sounds woo-woo, but the truth is they have literally lost the ability to discern what they even think or feel. And I don't want you to fall into that category. So those are the core 3 reasons of why you don't want the consequences of not keeping a boundary. You don't want to be exhausted. You don't want to have resentment in your heart or lose yourself. But not having boundaries is not only bad for you, it's bad for the people that you're claiming to protect by compromising on boundaries. Let's talk about these main 2 things. 1, if you never communicate your boundary, people will never get to know the real you. What do you like? What do you not like? What do you tolerate and what will you not tolerate? What do you care about and what doesn't matter to you? These are things that people can only learn if you communicate and set boundaries. It's part of who you are as a person. Just like with physical property, you need boundary lines between you and your neighbor to know what is mine and what is yours, because then I can take care of my lawn, I can make it look nice, and you can know this is my property. You have to do this emotionally. It's a lot more nebulous of a concept because you can't see. And that's why it's so important to have those boundaries. I don't know that this thing bothers you unless you tell me. And that helps me understand you a little bit better. So some of the relationships you have may not be reaching their full potential because you're never communicating. Think of the husband and wife where the husband's just basically there to breathe. And the wife owns every conversation. And she wears the pants in the family, makes all this, like she calls all the shots. That sounds like she's having a great time and having her way, but it's actually a problem because he's not even fully in that relationship. He's not there. He has to get involved in the conversation and start having boundaries for her to even be able to work with him to make a good marriage. In that scenario, that's not a solid marriage. That's just one person doing everything and the other person is just along for the ride. And so people won't get to know you if you don't have and communicate your boundaries. Finally, when we're talking about relationships here, without boundaries, your relationships can't self-correct. So they'll self-destruct. You won't know those warning signals. Think of a light. You know, you have the green light, the red light, but in between is this yellow light. Boundaries are kind of like the yellow light. It's like a warning signal, like, hey, something negative's coming, something's about to happen. Or maybe the monitor on your gas tank where it's got the E and then it signals that, hey, you're getting real low on your miles for how much fuel you have left. Boundaries are there to protect your relationships from destruction. That's any kind of relationship, friendship, work, brothers, family, marriage. All of these relationships need boundaries to protect them so they can self-correct. Now, I will fully admit that setting boundaries can be uncomfortable. It's not fun to have that conversation, especially if you're a non-confrontational person, because you don't want to disappoint people, but you have to. It is okay to disappoint people. It's better to disappoint them with who you really are and what you really think than pretending like everything's okay until it blows up. It's worth dealing with it up front. So let's talk about practicality here. What should you have a conversation with someone about? How do you even set a boundary? Well, let's start with where you have the pain points. Where do you feel drained? Where do you feel resentful? Do you feel like you're not really living your life? These are signals that you need a boundary in that area. It could be in your home, or it could be at work. Any areas where you feel exhausted and resentful, probably you need to have an examination and say, okay, what are the boundaries that I might not even know that I need to set? But this is a pain point showing me that I should. And then finally, if you have a conversation that you know needs to happen, but you're avoiding with your wife, your friend, your coworker, those conversations you're avoiding are the ones that you need to have the most. It's the uncomfortable ones, the things that we just kind of push to the side. Those are the things that we really need to deal with. So my challenge to you is to discern what boundaries need to be set through the areas that you are resentful or exhausted, and then have the hard conversations that you've been avoiding. Because if you do that, though it will be more painful up front, the long term will be better. Guys, we don't want our lives to just happen to us. We want to be on the offense in our lives. We really want to take initiative in making things better. Take those steps. Keep sticking with this series. We're going to keep guiding you forward, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Thriving Man Podcast. If you want to check out more resources from David and Reese, you can go to thrivingman.com. We'll see you in the next episode.